buckle up because we're diving into the wild, wacky, and sometimes downright confusing world of the American electoral system. This ain't your average schoolhouse civics lesson. We're talking about the processes that shape the very fabric of our nation, from who sits in the Oval Office to who fixes that pesky pothole on your street. Now you might be thinking, elections? Snooze fest? But hold your horses, because this stuff is more dramatic than an episode of The Real Housewives during an election year. We're talking about power struggles, fierce debates, and enough political jargon to make your head spin. But fear not, dear citizen, because I'm here to break it all down in a way that even your goldfish could understand. We'll demystify the Electoral College, explore the ins and outs of congressional elections, and even delve into the surprisingly cutthroat world of local politics. So grab your coffee, put on your thinking caps, and get ready to become an informed voter, because in America, your vote is your voice, and it's time to make that voice heard. All right, let's talk about the big leagues, the main event, the political Super Bowl, the presidential election. It's the time when the entire nation tunes in, debates heat up, and the future of the country is decided. But as thrilling as it sounds, the process is far more intricate than just counting votes. Every 4 years, Americans cast their votes for the leader of the free world. But here's the catch. It's not as simple as who gets the most votes. You might think that the candidate with the highest number of votes would automatically win, but that's not how it works in the United States. Nope, we like to spice things up with a little thing called the Electoral College. This system adds a layer of complexity to the election process, making it not just a straightforward popularity contest. Think of it like this: each state gets a certain number of electors based on its population. The more people a state has, the more electors it gets. This means states like California and Texas have a lot more electoral votes compared to smaller states like Vermont or Wyoming. It's like a weighted system where states with more people get more say. However, this also means that candidates need to strategize and campaign in a way that maximizes their chances of winning these crucial electoral votes. To win the presidency, a candidate needs to snag at least 270 out of the 538 electoral votes up for grabs. This magic number is what every candidate aims for, and reaching it means victory. Now here's where it gets interesting. The way these electoral votes are distributed can lead to some unexpected outcomes. In most states, it's a winner-take-all situation. This means that the candidate who wins the popular vote in that state usually gets all of its electoral votes, regardless of how close the race was. The candidate who wins the popular vote in that state usually gets all of its electoral votes. This winner-take-all approach can sometimes lead to a candidate winning the presidency without winning the popular vote nationwide. This means a candidate can actually win the presidency without winning the popular vote nationwide, which has happened a few times in our history. It's a scenario that often sparks debate and controversy. The presidential election is a long and winding road, with primaries and caucuses held in each state to determine the nominees for each party. These preliminary contests are crucial as they set the stage for the general election. Then comes the general election, usually held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Mark your calendars, folks. This is the day when the entire nation comes together to make their voices heard. So there you have it, the presidential election in a nutshell. It's a complex system, but understanding it is crucial for any engaged citizen. Knowing how it works helps us appreciate the nuances and the importance of every single vote. It's a complex system, but understanding it is crucial for any engaged citizen. After all, the decisions made in this process affect every aspect of our lives, from the economy to healthcare to foreign policy. After all, we're talking about the most powerful office in the land. The person who wins this election will have a significant impact on the direction of the country for the next 4 years.
The Electoral College might seem like an outdated concept, but it plays a crucial role in balancing the influence of smaller states against larger ones. This balance ensures that every state, regardless of size, has a voice in the election. Without it, candidates might only focus on densely populated urban areas, neglecting the needs and voices of rural communities. This would lead to a significant imbalance in representation and policymaking. So, while it can be controversial, the Electoral College ensures that every state has a stake in the outcome. It reminds us that the United States is a union of states, each with its own unique needs and perspectives.
Now that we've tackled the presidential election, let's move on to Congress, the legislative branch of our government. Congress plays a crucial role in shaping the laws and policies that govern our daily lives. It's where the nitty-gritty of lawmaking happens, and where our elected officials debate and decide on issues that affect us all. This is where laws are made, budgets are passed, and those pesky politicians we love to complain about earn their keep, or don't, depending on your perspective. The work done here impacts everything from the economy to healthcare, education, and national security. Congress is divided into two chambers, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Each chamber has its own unique responsibilities and powers, and together they form a system of checks and balances that is fundamental to our democracy. Think of them as the two houses of our government, each with its own quirks and characters. The House of Representatives is often seen as the more dynamic and responsive body, while the Senate is viewed as a more deliberative and stable institution. The House of Representatives is the larger of the two, with 435 members representing districts across all 50 states. These representatives are tasked with voicing the concerns and interests of their constituents, and they play a key role in the legislative process. Each state gets a certain number of representatives based on its population, so larger states have more representatives than smaller ones. This ensures that the diverse population of our country is fairly represented in the House. House members serve two-year terms, so they're always up for re-election, which keeps them on their toes. This frequent election cycle means that representatives must stay closely connected to their constituents and be responsive to their needs and concerns. The Senate is the smaller, more exclusive chamber with 100 members, 2 from each state. This equal representation ensures that every state, regardless of size, has a voice in the legislative process. Senators serve 6-year terms with elections staggered every 2 years. This staggered election cycle provides continuity and stability, allowing the Senate to function as a steadying force in the legislative process. This means that only about 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election at any given time, which provides more stability and continuity. Senators often have more experience and a longer-term perspective on issues, which can be beneficial for crafting long-term policies.
Congressional elections are held every 2 years, giving us regular opportunities to influence the direction of our government. These elections are a vital part of our democratic process, allowing us to choose who will represent our interests in Congress. Coinciding with the presidential election every 4 years. This alignment means that during presidential election years, voter turnout is typically higher, which can have a significant impact on the composition of Congress. So, every 2 years we get to decide who represents us in the halls of power. It's a chance to evaluate the performance of our current representatives and make changes if we feel they are not meeting our expectations. It's our chance to hold our elected officials accountable and make our voices heard on the issues that matter most to us. Voting is not just a right, but a responsibility, and it's one of the most powerful ways we can shape the future of our country.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive into the world of state and local elections. These elections might not have the glitz and glamour of the presidential race, but they are the backbone of our democracy. Now, I know what you're thinking. State and local elections, that's about as exciting as watching paint dry. But before you tune out, let me tell you why these elections are anything but boring. But hold your horses, because these elections have a direct impact on our daily lives, from the quality of our schools to the safety of our streets. Imagine the decisions that shape your child's education or the safety measures in your neighborhood park. Think about it. State governments are responsible for things like education, healthcare, and transportation, while local governments handle things like police and fire departments, parks and recreation, and even garbage collection. These are the services we rely on every single day. These are the issues that directly affect our quality of life, folks. So paying attention to these elections is crucial. When you vote in these elections, you're making choices that will impact your community's future.
Now, each state has its own unique set of elected officials, but let's break it down a bit more. Some common ones include the governor, state senators and representatives, attorney general, and secretary of state. These officials make decisions on state laws, budgets, and policies that affect everything from taxes to public safety. Local elections can include positions like mayor, city council members, school board members, and even sheriffs. These roles are vital for managing city services, local ordinances, and community programs. These elections might not get as much national attention as the presidential race, but they're just as important, if not more so, for our day-to-day lives. The decisions made by these officials can have immediate and tangible effects on our communities. So do your research, get informed, and make your voice heard in these crucial elections. Remember, every vote counts, and your participation can make a real difference in shaping the future of your community. Don't underestimate the power of your vote in these local and state elections.